If you are looking into email marketing, you don't know where to start, or you're currently running email marketing and you want to streamline the entire process for your customers and you want to have a touch point for every single action that your customer can do, then you need to map out every single action your customer can do on your website, right? So that's what this video is going over. The entire email marketing strategy and how to achieve it for an e-commerce brand. So what you're going to do is you're just simply going to map out every single little touch point that you can have from your customers to your brand. Now look, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be messing up a lot this entire video because I'm not going to be really editing it too much. This is just straight actionable information. It doesn't really require too much editing. So enough talking from my end. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So your customer is going to go to your website. They're already a customer at this point. They're already on your list, whether they've seen some sort of ad that you have going, whether that's paid social media or organic social media, whatever it is, they got onto your website because they're interested in some either new product or buying something that they hadn't bought already. So they're going to go to your website and they're going to view whatever product they're interested in. Now, one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to buy, they're not going to buy. If they bought, they're going to hit either a thank you series where they're going to get your order confirmation and shipping email, but they're also going to get, kind of like a how to use the product. And that works really, really well for brands that have one main product with just like a bunch of different little variations to it. Or if you want to individually make out thank you series with copy and paste order confirmation because they're dynamic, you can do that too if you have a lot of different products that all essentially help solve the same problem. So those are two things that you can do. And then once this is done, they go into your email list and they start receiving those weekly emails again, and then hopefully they go back and view the product again. The weekly emails go back and they view the product and yada yada yada, right? So once they go back and they view the product, they're going to go through this cycle, and hopefully that's all it takes for your customer is this little cycle right here. Did they buy? Yes. Thank you series, email list, weekly emails, and then just right here. Like I said, that only happens for probably about 1% of your customers, right? Especially if you only have a 1% conversion rate or 2% conversion rate, whatever it is. Whatever that conversion rate is, that's pretty much the amount of times out of 100 that this is going to happen, right? Every other time, you're going to go down this other path. And the reason I'm keeping it so small and kind of locked in is because this is kind of a big graph. There's a lot going on. And I don't want y'all to get like freaked out because it's confusing. But if you keep it singled on one specific action at a time, it's pretty easy to follow, right? So say they don't buy. Then they go into a little thing where it's like, okay, they didn't buy the product, but did they add it to their cart? Didn't add the product and join the browse abandonment series, right? So since they didn't add it to their cart, they joined the browse abandonment series. So in the browse abandonment series, you're going to probably get like 1 to 4 emails saying, hey, notice you were checking this out. These are the frequently asked questions, and then maybe you can throw some testimonials in there for the second email. And then maybe for the last 2 emails, you want to throw in like a 5 or 10% discount. That works here simply because the thing is your browse abandonment is probably the lowest barrier to entry for buying intent that you could possibly have for a customer, right? So like they're interested in the product, but they're still kind of on the fence. Now, you're going to get that did they buy question right here. And then if they did, they're going to go into the thank you series and everything like that. But if they didn't buy, you're going to go to no. Did they add to cart though? So if they did not add to cart, then they're just going to go back and go into your email list. Now I zoomed out a little bit so I could find the email list pretty easily. Don't look at anything else. Just look at where my mouse is right now. I really, really, really do not want you to get confused right now. So if they didn't add to the cart, they say no, goes to the email list, right? Now I kind of split these up, but is like literally the same. Okay. Did they add to the cart? Yes. Did they buy when they added to the cart? If they did, it's gonna go yes, thank you series, right? But where it gets complicated, come on, what are you doing? There you go. Where it gets complicated is when they don't buy. right? So if they didn't buy, they're going to go to the cart abandonment series. And then you can ask, did they buy from the cart abandonment series? Now, before I go any further, the cart abandonment series is kind of like the browse abandonment series. Okay, so you've got the browse abandonment series over here, which people only look at the product. They don't take any extra step into buying the product. They're just looking, they're just kind of window shopping, right? This is the next step forward. They've got a lot more buying intent. Maybe they're adding to the cart for later. Maybe they're looking to see how much the price is after tax, whatever it is. They have a lot more buying intent. They're a lot more interested here. So this you can get away with giving a little bit more of a discount, maybe 10 to 15% off if you can handle those. But don't always give a discount. Be kind of sparing with your discounts, because you don't want to create a culture around discounts. And that's actually something that I've recently learned. I'm going to be honest, that is a mistake that I made in the past. But, having at least one discount, per flow maybe, is an awesome thing to do. Now, it's very important to have some sort of rule where if they've been in the flow for X amount of days, I usually like to keep it anywhere from 7 days to 2 weeks. That's always good to have, because you don't want someone going through the cart abandonment series and then, looking around on your site, seeing what else you got, viewing a product, and then going into the browse abandonment series when they just left the browse abandonment series. So ideally, you want to make it to where, one, they're not in multiple series at one time. Klaviyo usually does this automatically. But also, two, you want to make sure they haven't been in another series within X amount of days, right? Those are two big things that you got to make sure of, especially if you're going to give some sort of discount, right? Because you don't want to have, like I said, a bunch of discounts going at one time. Like, you don't want to have them aware of 2 different discount codes, right? Just something to think about, right? Let's get back to it though. Did they buy through the cart abandonment series? Yes. Then they're going to go back into the email list and start that flow all over again, right? If they didn't, then you're going to ask, did they proceed to checkout? If they did not proceed to checkout, there's really no other way or no other thing for them to do after that. So guess where they're going to go? You're going to follow this line all the way up there, and they're going to go right back to the email list. So if they did proceed to the checkout, but remember, they didn't buy, then they're going to join the checkout abandonment series. Now, the checkout abandonment series, that is about as close of buying intent that you can get before you get to buying, right? So the last thing is like, hey, you almost checked out, you almost finished, you're so close to the finish line. And the browse abandonment, you kind of want to play a little bit. You don't want to be super serious, because let's be honest, it's kind of creepy if you're looking around and you're viewing a product and you leave and you're like, hey, saw you looking, like, that's weird. You're going to want to do the same kind of humor-based thing with this checkout abandonment, because you don't want to push someone, you don't want to force someone into a sale. Then they're never going to buy from you again. And be like, yo, you were almost at the finish line. Make them happy to do it. You're that close. You only got 10 feet left. Just hit that buy button, finish filling out your info. Don't miss this, don't miss that. You can do FOMO right here. You can just genuinely say, hey, I noticed you almost checked out. If you want to rep the brand, go ahead and finish. Or, hey, here's free shipping if you want to. That goes back to the whole thing of be a brand where people only buy from discounts. It's very bad. But if they don't buy here, there's really nothing else for them to do except just keep checking out your website. That's essentially your email marketing. That's all your flows. Every single action that your customer can possibly take with buying intent. I want to be very clear about that. Of course, there are other automations that you can set up, but these are specifically with buying intent that you can have. This is your entire abandonment series strategy. This is how you're going to want to think about it, because this is literally the slide that your customer will go down. Right? Think of it like a slide where they've got multiple chances to get off. If they're having fun, they're going to keep going. Right? If they enjoy your brand, they're going to keep going down that slide. And the bottom where they get off, that's where they buy. Right? Now, what you can actually do is your thank you series right here. If you do this product by product, you don't have to do what I'm about to mention, but if you have a generalized thank you series, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier, where you've got one big product but multiple variations of that same product, what you can actually do is you can teach your users the best ways to utilize those other variations of your main product. whether that's a video, how to use your main product with those variations, or those variations just simply, I'm going to give you the best possible example that I can, which is when I was working with a personal client that I had, they were selling rubber targets. Essentially what it was is they were rubber targets that you could just use. They were like 3,000 rounds per target, right? So they were a lot of range days per target, but they were only about $70. They had their main target, and then they had different variations like head and shoulders, a half size one, a smaller one with zones for competitive shooters, things like that. So essentially what we would do is we would go through on the normal weekly emails, and we would either highlight specific thing that we were doing as the company, or maybe a story from a range day, or specifically what a variation was done with, or what you could do with a variation, I should say, right? So maybe the normal full size target, you could do X, X, and X with that, or with the variation, you could do X, Y, and Z instead of just X, or you can better utilize it combining all of these different variations into one full range setup, this, that, and the other, right? So when you really get creative, this completely comes to life, because it's not just a thank you series that you have to work to get set up, and then a bunch of weekly emails that you have to do. It's, I get to send out this email, we did something crazy last week. And when you get excited about this, your customers can tell. And when your customers can tell, your customers get excited too. And then they turn and they go. And when everybody's excited, what's going to happen is your average order values are going to increase. Your returns are going to decrease. Your complaints are going to decrease. And when you're actually excited, you'll notice something funny. You'll want to make your product better for your customers. Now, not a lot of people want to do that because they're just like, I really just want to focus on growing. But believe it or not, making a better product is directly going to contribute to your growth. So if you get excited about what you're doing with your products, you're going to grow your brand naturally, especially with these systems set up, because there's no stopping you. You're going to control the flow of your customers, and you're going to have your hand directly impacting every single sale, with you being able to sit back, produce marketing materials, and run your business with this on autopilot. And that is the reason that I personally do what I do, because I am able to generate that excitement through these emails. And it's not hard to do. It's something that can be learned. Just like most business owners start their business because of something they're passionate about, it's the same thing with me. This is something I'm passionate about, not only because I'm really good at it, because I love the transformation that most businesses can get from something that maybe the business owner doesn't understand, or just for some reason cannot grasp, just because it may be out of their depth, or they're missing some key piece of knowledge. I get excited to see the transformation when it's done properly. So saying that, if you need someone to do this for your business, feel free to reach out to me. Go to the About tab, copy my email, and shoot me an email. We can hop on a call and just look at your numbers, see what you're doing, see where your bottlenecks are, and I'll do an email audit for you, as well as, like I said, we can look at some numbers. But I also want to invite you to join my newsletter. If you don't want to get on a call now, you can join my newsletter, where I give actionable tips, tricks, and strategies just like this away for free. And actually, if you give one of your friends your referral link, you'll unlock the exact segmentation strategy that I use to be able to get $263,000 specifically generated through email between April and October of last month. So if that's something that sounds like you would be interested in, go ahead and click those links below. And if you haven't already, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a like, and a comment of something that you really enjoyed listening to about this strategy. I will see y'all in the next one.